Hi guys, Aceface back with another video for you, and I've got the battle report today. We are playing on this beautiful board, which can mean only one thing. I'm here at the home of Wargaming Tabletop Tactics, and with Lawrence.
Hello sir.
Hello. So we have got a very exciting game. This is going to be very fluffy, very themey, but also incredibly cheesy as well. So everything you like to see in a battle report from me. So in a second we'll go through the army lists and we'll get this game underway. First of all, I'll run over my army, and it's a pleasure to get it on the table. Big thanks to Aaron over at Shamrock Studios for painting the majority of this army up for me in a relatively short time. So thanks very much. He is available for commissions. This is a real quick job he's done for me. He is capable of delivering a really good standard, so absolutely check him out. The link will be down below. But going straight on into the list, so the main part of the army is the Murder Horde. So I am playing the Demon Decorium. So the Murder Horde consists of a Herald. He is on a Juggernaut. He has the Crimson Crown and he has the King of Blades. He also has the Locus of Wrath, and then I have 8 units of 5 Flesh Hounds, so a really cool base for the army. The buffs there will give them plenty of attacks and a nice aggressive presence on the board. Into auxiliary, so you can take 1+ auxiliaries. So I wanted to take Karanak because he's such a cool unit in the game, and I really love what he can do to the army, the buffs he can provide, and that little bit of anti-psycho helps as well. So I've got him in there as the Hunter of Khorne, and then the rest of this that you can hardly miss is 100 Furies. That's right, 100 Furies, and that is 20 units of 5 Furies, all with the mark of Slanesh. So ultra fast, nasty with their rending, and able to take a lot of board control. So as I said, this army is ultra MSU, and is going to be very enjoyable to see how it gets on in this really fluffy game as we go over and have a look at the Grey Knight Force.
Okay, so 1850 points of the Hammers of Titan. They're infamous everywhere in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. They're ready to take on your horrendous army. So, okay. So what we have in the HQ, we've got 2 librarians. This is a single combined arms detachment, and the librarians are level 3, and they have Thunderhammer upgrades, so nice little choices there. They have a Paladin Escort in the Elite's choice, which has an Apothecary upgrade with 4 stave. We've got 2 Psy Cannons in there as well. We then have 3 units as the troops choices of Terminators, and the Justicars are armed with Thunder Hammers, and we have Psy Cannon upgrades on a single Terminator there as well. And then the triple threats,
big boys,
the 3 Nemesis Dread Knights armed with heavy Incinerators and heavy Psy Cannons. They will hopefully be doing some big work today and not be drowned in 1,000 rending attacks.
Fantastic. So beautiful army, lovely to play against it, and this, as I said before, is going to be a very thematic game. So yes, I am playing Ultra Cheese, but we are on this beautiful demon world in the Slanesh scheme, which fits perfectly, and what better way of giving this demon army its first outing against its arch enemy and the biggest threat to them taking over this universe, the Grey Knights, as they stand at the edge of this massive force. So absolutely awesome, looking forward to this one. Right guys, so we're playing Emperor's Will, so that's 2 objectives. My objective is over here in my deployment zone, and then Lawrence is over here, as the rules stipulate. So this is going to be a real slugfest. I doubt that Lawrence will make a play for mine, but you never know. Strange things have happened. So my demon army completely covers my entire deployment zone. I can clearly not fit anything else out at all, which is a very different story from this very small elite army over here. So I currently have first turn, which is interesting. It won't actually make or break this game potentially, because I won't be able to sort anything first turn. I've got so much stuff, very little real kind of, it's not going to make too much of a difference, but just to get that scout, get forward, put the pressure on early, I think is going to help me a little bit in the end game. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see whether Lawrence wants to seal the initiative potentially in a minute, but other than that, this is going to be very exciting. So we're in the first turn for Demons. Lawrence decided not to try and seize, which is the right move really. It wouldn't have made massive amount of difference. It would have secured first blood for sure, but with very squashy little units, he's almost certainly going to get that. So he didn't need to worry about that. And for him, it's a lot more about end game, because if he can survive and get through some of these Demons, then potentially there's some end game shenanigans that I am fully aware of. Lawrence.
Don't know what you're talking about, man.
Wouldn't
do that.
So what's happened is all the corn dogs have obviously scouted first, and then moved and run, and then the same with all of the Furies. They've all jumped through. I lost 3 Furies through dangerous terrain tests, just 2 off one unit and 1 off another, but other than that untouched. In the Warp Storm I rolled the Rot, so the Nurgle one. It didn't do any damage at all. I did manage to roll 1-6, but then only rolled 1 hit and then failed to wound. So no damage there at all. Now it's going to be an interesting one, because I'm absolutely on his door. He will cause some damage here, and it'll be very interesting just how much damage he can cause, because after that it's going to be combat followed by combat followed by combat followed by combat followed by probably some more combat. So we'll see as we go into Grey Knights. Okay, so end of turn 1 for the Grey Knights. It was an expected hard hammer back, making sure that they stick to their name, and these guys have hit me back viciously, but that was all part of the plan. We knew that was going to happen. So basically in the movement phase, Lawrence didn't back off pretty much of anything, apart from potentially his kind of Death Star unit that did sort of tentatively stay sort of back a little bit. Everything else marched right into the face of the enemy and to the face of certain doom, as they held their hammers high and ran in. So some shooting, some really good shooting to be fair, whittling the dogs down quite considerably, and most notably taking some serious damage on my big unit in the middle with both the 2 characters. That was really damaging for me. So of all the things, that was the thing that probably hurt the most. Everything else was pretty much expected. Psychic phase, Lawrence got really fortunate, so I purposely left all the psychic powers right up until the end, because I knew that what he would try and do is debuff my key unit, which is what he did. And even with the Collar of Corn and 5 dice to throw against just 3 successes and dispelling on a 4 up, I still couldn't get rid of it. So these were up down to a 6 up invuln, which is pretty brutal. So then after all the shooting was done, everything went into assault, everything got in quite comfortably. First up, the Dread Knight stepped up. He smashed away the last two wounds off the Warlord, and then was just left with Karanak. I did manage to hang in there with the save. Got very fortunate, which does mean that Dread Knight will now get bum raped by everybody. But that's a fair price to pay, as he takes Warlord out with that hammer. Pretty much the rest of them did manage to take out all the dogs that they were in combat with. The unit over here did take 2 in return, so 2 Terminators went down there. Everything else was unhurt. The Dread Knight did take a wound as well, so that was one other little thing. So he's down to 3 wounds, and these guys over here are down to 3 men. Everything else has backed off. They're just trying to avoid as many charges as they can afford. They will definitely get quite a few, but actually that's what they needed to do. So backing into territory, some damage has been done. I'm absolutely happy with it on the whole. Would have liked not to have lost the Warlord, but ultimately the dogs were absolutely expendable. That was all part of the plan, as the 100 girls come in for the kill as we go into turn 2 for Demons. Right guys, end of turn 2 for the Demons. So we've returned the favour, and we've caused some damage. So everything has come forward, just carried on. Not being Demons, we don't care. We don't care about deaths. We don't care about that. Literally just menacing and going back on top of the enemy, just with sheer numbers. So we amassed on the Dread Knight. That was the first plan. We needed to take him down, and then we eyed up this unit over here. And then the unit of Terminators over here that are no longer with us. So the the big thing was over here I actually rolled really badly. Karanak was taken down, the hammer was hit hard and he went down, and we lost a Fury in that as well, which was real brutal. Losing that Fury was a big deal. Just losing that one Fury made such a difference. We hit back, we did take one wound off. He's down to just 2 wounds, but really just with the sheer volume of attacks he should have gone down, particularly as Furious Charge is now gone, and the bonus attacks are now gone. It really hurts me a little bit, to be fair, but you know, he's still in combat. We've locked him in, he's 2 wounds down. That's not to be sneered at, but not the result we would have asked for. Over here the Furies did try and join this combat. We failed the charge on those guys. The dogs did get in, as I said. We did lose that combat, but we did take down one of the Terminators. They're just on the 2, so that's not too bad. Potentially we can deal with them next turn. It's definitely going to give Lawrence a bit of a quandary of what he does. His Dread Knight probably is going to want to help somebody out. Will it be his Terminator buddies, or will it be the Dread Knight? I'm not too sure. We'll find out. Over here though was the success. We had 3 units that managed to get in with this unit of Terminators that's gone, the dogs, and then 2 units of Furies. We rolled pretty hot and we took them down. We did lose 4 Furies, but won the combat, so 1 Fury is still there. We've consolidated into cover to try and, you know, just give him something to do. You know, it won't be so easy taking him down with shooting. 4 up's a lot better than a 5 up, and that'll obviously, and he's obviously 2 units there. He doesn't have very many units, and this is the beauty of this army. Even the 1s and 2 guys cause Lawrence a real problem. He just doesn't have the capability of targeting too many units, and just that one lonely Fury, if he's tied up, could be the same guy that then goes and sits on his objective at the end of the game. So it's very crucial. Every single Fury, every single dog is a big deal, and that's the big thing about this army. So it's all to play for. There's blood is being spilt. It's going to get brutal now as we go into Grey Knights turn 2. End of turn 2 for the Grey Knights. Another brutal turn. So again, not taking any prisoners. Grey Knights continue their advance, potentially with the exception of these 2 units, which are kind of holding fast, realising that the Demons are making their assault on the line, and as they break off, it becomes harder and harder for Lawrence to be able to take out all the units. So they stay put, everything else came forward. This guy here came after the dogs that are no longer there, and this Dread Knight came forward here to try and deal with some Furies. So Psychic Phase, Sanctuary on all of the Dread Knights was successful. Force failed on this unit, and then 1 Fury was taken out by a Psychic Witchfire on him, and then into the shooting phase again. More units cut down, so the Flamers making short work of the Furies, and then into the assault phase. So the Dread Knight came in on to the dogs. I fluffed, didn't do any damage. And then Lawrence took down the dogs. He also, in the Flamer, to mention, he did also Soul Blaze these guys with the tail end of the Flamer, and that ended up taking down another 2, which is pretty brutal. So in the assaults, these guys over here, we didn't manage to take down any of them. They did kill 1, but I rolled double 1 on my instability, so they both so that 1 came back. Over here, we lost another Hound, and the Fury went down as well. And more or less that was it. So an eventful turn. He's managing to hold me back. There's still absolutely masses and masses of Furies. I would say probably still over half the units are still there. And as we get fragmented, it becomes even more dangerous for Lawrence, particularly as he starts to lose vital troops. But he has got 3 heavy hitters in the Dread Knights. We need to see off at least 1 this turn, otherwise it's going to be pretty dangerous. I'd like to see the end of 2, and then we really take the front foot and start to mass into these defences. But it's all to play for as we go into turn 3 for Demons. Right guys, almost forgot to do that recap because I'm feeling extremely salty. I am absolutely... I never give up, but I'll tell you what, if I was someone to give up, right now I would have table flipped and I'd be out of here, because Christ almighty, this is bad. Right, okay, so I can't really say that anything particularly went wrong as far as what I tried, like that my plans were absolutely perfect, but a few little real big factors. So starting off with, because he has Sanctuary on all of his Dread Knights, it's really hurting me. So every time I move within 12 inches I take dangerous terrain, and the amount of ones that I'm rolling is criminal. So I've got Furies dying left, right and centre from dangerous terrain tests. That's also affecting me in the assault phase as well, which is not great. So we made our assault up. The plan was very much to take out this Dread Knight, or at least do some serious damage, and potentially take some pops at the Terminator squad with a couple of units. Potentially with some good rending we could have taken a few bites out of them. Now, over here, the rest of the Furies ascended on the other Dread Knight that was over there. That's on 2 wounds. It's been on 2 wounds, seems like a lifetime, even though it's only been a couple of turns. So yeah, so that was that, and then pretty much what we did was we just assaulted into both sides. And the Warp Storm, again, was pretty tame. They got the Nurgle one and no damage done to either army. Assault phase, we made most of the assaults. We did miss one crucial one here with these guys that are now out in the open in big trouble, where they missed the charge on there. Everything else, and these guys here at the back didn't manage to make their charge onto the Dread Knight there. Everything else pretty much made it in on both sides without too much trouble, just losing a few through dangerous terrain. This one in particular was brutal, losing three because with just 2 attacks each, that is 6 attacks is really crucial. So that is really brutal for me. And then assault just really went from bad to worse. Really, I just couldn't do anything. I absolutely fluffed every single roll. Couldn't get a 6 to save my life. And then the 1/6 over here that I did manage to get, Lawrence saved easily with his sanctuary save.
On a 6, in fact.
On a 6.
On a 6, marked for death.
Yeah, so it's been absolutely brutal. I have very little left, believe it or not. 100 models, 160 overall, and I actually have the bare bones of this army left in that turn. I mean, obviously the Furies, they're expected to go down really quickly, but they should be taking people with them left, right and centre. It's just not happening. I'm just not making the rolls. Even with just dice on my side, I'm still not making the rolls. It's brutal, guys. I just don't know what to say. I've never seen anything like it. There is no way, statistically, with this volume of units, that we should be sitting in this position at this turn. It's illogical. It doesn't work. It's
the Lawrence Vortex of luck. It's my secret weapon.
Yeah.
Sadly, I steal the luck of other people and I use it against them. This is how we've won.
And this is clearly happening. So to be honest with you guys, it's pretty much all over. That's the really worrying thing. Is the big reason why it's all over is obviously Lawrence has Warlord and he has First Blood, but on top of that he does have the ability to move pretty quickly because he has the Gate of Infinity and he has shunt moves on his Dread Knights. He can move out pretty quick. And obviously when he lands, those Dread Knights just lay waste to Furies like they're not even there. So there's no way that I can really kind of hold on in there, so it makes it pretty much an impossible mission. We will hang on in there, we'll try, you know, we never ever give up, and we'll see what we can do. You never know, we get lucky, maybe the luck turns to me and we can just hang on with a few old Furies, we can start pushing into his deployment zone again and we'll see what we can do. But it is absolutely looking grim. This planet is absolutely under Imperial owning now, and the warp is very much open, and the demons are scurrying back home because they are in big trouble as we only go into the Grey Knights turn 3. Right, so if you get a award for rolling ones, I'm bang on for that. I'm absolutely up for that. So yeah, another really bad turn for me, to be fair. And the Grey Knights are running me ragged. So everything coming forward, everything marched forward on its movement turn. Very much smelling victory. Lawrence is going in for the kill, as every good player does. He knows now that within reason his objective is safe, and now it's an opportunity to go for the tabling, which is very much on, but also to go for this objective with his movement capabilities of his army. That again is absolutely on the cards. So the shooting, they basically decimated all the units in front of them. So there were 2 units here, both went down to shooting, combination of side cannons and storm bolters, and they all went down. Then pretty much everything else was all about assault. So the other Dread Knight jumped in, and again I rolled atrociously bad, and the Dread Knights took down all the hounds, and took down most of the Furies, but I did roll double 1 for my instability, so the whole unit did come back. So there's 5 Furies there, which is quite good. So I'm not going to complain too much about that, but obviously that's only a matter of time. I really rode my luck to be able to do that, and without the hounds in there as well, that's should be good Night Fury's next turn. Lawrence will then consolidate and able to really dash into my zone. So yeah, really brutal stuff. This guy here I actually managed to hold in combat, which is hilarious, because these guys are doing the business at this late stage but still not managing to cause the damage which we vitally need. So yeah, there's really not a lot I can do. We'll see what we can do. I won't give up, particularly not this turn when we can still. I really want to take this Dread Knight down. If I can take that Dread Knight down, then I'm going to call that a little moral victory, and we'll try and guard this objective as much as we can. So we'll see how we get on as we go into turn 3 for the Demons, turn 4 for the Demons. Right guys, so end of Demons turn 4, going into turn 4 for the Grey Knights. And yeah, my luck just continues to go from bad to worse. I mean, to be fair, there's very little I could do in combat, but more pathetic blooming dangerous terrain test failed, and then really not managing to stick anything in combat ultimately was my downfall all game long. Just unable to capitalise just on anything really, to be fair. So everything broke out of combat. So both all 3 of the Dread Knights jumped out of combat and consolidated further towards my ground. What I've got left is basically this unit. There's one guy I think I've actually already taken off, but there's one guy scampering over that corner. But basically it's 2 units and a 1 man, and that was absolutely it going into a Grey Knight turn. Just bearing in mind that these guys can still shunt. He's not used that yet. Typically Grey Knight players will use that in the first turn for an Alpha Strike move. Lawrence, particularly with this style of list he's playing against, has saved it. I think in his heart of hearts he probably never expected to go as well and to be able to capitalise on all 3 of them, but just to have that shunt move in the bag potentially could have saved him a game, on potentially an average game. But the way that this has gone, it would have been the clincher, because that move would have absolutely incinerated my guys off the objective. The tabling would have been there, and that would have been a resounding victory for the Grey Knights. As it is, it's not worth it. It's not worth putting you guys through the pain of it, and trust me when I'm saying it's not worth me going through the pain of it, because I can't take it anymore.
I understand that life choice.
But I suppose where you guys and everyone who's played this game knows those games that you play where you absolutely do everything right. You've got, in theory, you've got the better list. You know what you're doing, you're absolutely confident with what's going on. Some things just don't work for you, and it's no disrespect to the player you're playing against. It's not what you're doing, it's just one of those things. And can I tell you what, it makes you bloody angry. But ultimately it is a game. It's when we roll dice, and as much as I'm salty right now, it's been good fun as always. So thank you very much, Lawrence.
A pleasure, sir. No doubt.
Always a pleasure.
Next time.
I'll get you next time.
You will get me next time.
Yeah, so Lawrence takes a commanding lead, 5 victories to 0 at the moment. But bear in mind, the next time we will probably play will be at the No Retreat tournament. And if there's a place to get him, that's the place to get him. So we'll see what happens, guys. This has not finished. I will be back to avenge this poor showing by the Demons another time. But I hope you've enjoyed it. The Demon army is an absolute immense to see on the board. It's been a lot of fun just to see it, and it has been extremely fluffy. And the good guys won out this one. They absolutely torched the living hell out of this demon flock and sent them back to the warp. So it goes to a victory to the Grey Knights. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.